Hi everyone, my name is Karis. Welcome to my corner of the internet. Today I'm going to be talking about my goals. I'm going to be reflecting first of all on the goals that I set myself for 2021, and then I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the goals that I've set myself for 2022. I'm definitely not a new year, new me sort of person, but I do like to take some time at the start of each year to give myself some things that I would like to aim towards. So last year I made a video talking about all the bookish and non-bookish goals that I wanted to achieve in 2021, and for the first half of this video I'm going to look back over them and reflect on whether I did them or not, and then in the second half of this video I'm going to quickly talk about the things that I would like to do this year. I don't think I've got as many this year as last year, and I definitely don't have as many bookish ones this year, so that's why I've just decided to put it all into the one video. So I hope that's okay. I will leave a link in the description and the cards to the video that I filmed last year if you want to go and see it. I'm not going to screen record and react to it because otherwise I think this video is going to be super long, but I will obviously say what each one was. So without any further ado, let's start by talking about my goals for 2021, and I will start out with the bookish ones. So my first goal for 2021 was that I wanted to read 50 books, and I said in my video that this was sort of a random number because I was reading around 70-80 books back when I was at university each year, but then after that when I started my job I was reading like 10 to 15, and it was only during 2020 that I really got back into reading and my reading speed had picked up. So I picked 50 because it's almost one a week, it's a nice round number, and I'm so pleased to say that I did achieve this. I achieved it by the skin of my teeth. I got to 50 books on the 31st of December, and I did read like 6 books in the last week of the year to achieve that. I know it's an arbitrary number, but I was so stubborn and I was so close, so I had to do it. I think 50 was a pretty good number, and I'm really pleased to say that I read that much last year. I definitely thought about halfway through the year that I was going to actually achieve somewhere closer to 70, because I think by June I'd actually already managed 35 books, but then I got a new job which started in September. I've just been really busy like adjusting to that. A lot of you probably know that I spent a lot of time at the theatre in the second half of the year, so you know, if you take all of those theatre trips, I could have been reading on all of them. I would have reached the goal, but I did other things instead, and I don't feel bad about that. I'm really happy with the books that I did end up reading last year in the end. So the second goal that I set for myself was to expand my reading tastes, and I talked about how I had read predominantly YA contemporaries back when I was at uni and up until I was about 21, before I took that break from reading. Coming back to reading, there were some YA contemporaries that, you know, appealed to me and I wanted to pick up, but there was a lot that I had been interested in a few years ago that I wasn't anymore, and I just had absolutely no clue of like the literary fiction world. And I feel like I've really immersed myself in it in the past year, and now I feel like even if I haven't read specific books, I do know a lot about what's going on and upcoming releases, and I feel like I'm quite confident in my reading taste now. So yeah, again, I would say that I did succeed at this goal, and it's definitely something that I want to continue doing in the future and push myself out of my comfort zone even more. Okay, so my next goal for 2021 was to finish a series. So I used to like, when I did goals, reading goals before, pick in a specific series each year that I wanted to finish. And the one I picked for 2021 was the Poppy War series, because I read the Poppy War in 2020 and really loved it, very surprisingly, and really wanted to finish it. But I haven't read a single page of that series since September 2020 when I read the first book, so I definitely didn't succeed at this one. I didn't actually even take the book, the second one that I do own, back to my flat with me when I moved back there, so I think when I go back after this Christmas break I will take it and hopefully try and read it in 2022. I did really enjoy it, but it's just not really at the top of my priorities list anymore. The next goal I set myself was another failure, because I wanted to focus on my around the world series, literally traveling, that I started in 2020. It was something that I was really passionate about and something that I really wanted to expand upon. So I started off the series by reading books from countries that I was meant to visit in 2020 but obviously couldn't because of the situation, and I read the book. I did some other things in the video as well, like talked a lot about where I would like to travel to in the country, talked about some of the highlights and the tourist attractions, and also some of the culture and the history. And I also cooked something or baked something, and I really wanted to carry it on in 2021 and didn't. I think I made one video in 2021 in this series. I did the Norwegian book, but I think I'd already put that together by the time I filmed this resolutions video. I think because those videos take quite a lot of work, I'm just so intimidated by them, and because I'm only featuring one book in each, I feel a lot of pressure to have things to say and to sort of vlog my reading experience, whereas I wouldn't necessarily always do that. It is something that I'm still really passionate about. I would love to have read a book from every country of the world. That is still a big goal of mine, and I have read books from countries around the world that I haven't vlogged about in the past year. So maybe this is something that I need to sit down and think about how I want to document that, if I do want to document it. I don't know. I really loved those videos, but there's just something that kept putting me off doing them, basically. Okay, the next lot of goals were bookish, but they were more to do with my channel and YouTube, and the first one makes me so happy because I said that I really wanted to be involved in more things in the community, whether that be collabs with other booktubers. I also talked about doing things like reading sprints, because shortly after I filmed this I went on Shannon and Anna's Sunday sprints that they used to do for the first time, and that was actually how I got to know a lot of the people that I'm friends with now from booktube. I also did my own reading sprints for several weeks, months even, with Rhiannon from Welsh Reader, which was just so lovely. I would love to do them again at some point because they were genuinely like the highlight of my week, but unfortunately since we've both like been busy with work and stuff, there just hasn't been as much time. But I would really love to, you know, maybe do a one-off one here and there again with her, assuming that she'd want to do them with me. But I also got to meet her in person when she came and stayed in London for a few days, and we just had such an amazing weekend. It was like one of the highlights of my year. And I also met Anna and Leanne in person for the first time in 2021, which was really nice, and sort of like a rekindling of friendships, because I sort of knew both of them back in the day in like 2014, 2015, and had talked to them like a little bit but never in depth, and now it's like really lovely that they're two of my like in real life friends. They're not just my booktube friends, they're like my in real life friends, and we do other things together than just sit and talk about books. The next goal was that I wanted to work out an upload schedule. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I don't know if I think I had one at the start of the year, but then obviously I stopped posting for several months, and since coming back I haven't had a schedule, and I don't think I'm going to have a schedule in the new year. The next bookish goal I had was to use Storygraph instead of Goodreads, and I was doing this until about August, and I was using both, but I was putting all of my books onto Storygraph, and I was sort of trying to gradually ease into using only Storygraph. But then I went through a phase when I was away from booktube where I wasn't logging my books at all, and then I went back to do it in about October because I wanted to see what my reading total number of books that I'd read that year was, and for some reason I could not work out how to do it so that they counted towards my goal. Like, I tried changing the dates, it just wasn't working, and then it was telling me that I was currently reading them all, and I wasn't. It was just not working for me, and I don't know if I was just being really stupid, but I tried it on the app, I tried it on just like the browser on my phone, I tried it on my laptop, and I couldn't figure it out. So then I went back to Goodreads because I knew how to work that, and I just tracked my reading for the rest of the year on there. However, I have just at the end of the year completely wiped my Storygraph. I was like, right, I'm gonna start again. I have like 10 books marked as currently reading that I'm not, but deleting them is gonna delete them like entirely, so I may as well just wipe the whole thing, start again. So 2022 I will be using Storygraph because I want the pie charts and the data. So yeah, I will be doing it again in 2022, and hopefully I will just remember to track it all, or I will figure out how to use it properly. And the final bookish goal that I set for myself was to do more unhauling, and I definitely did this. I did a massive unhaul over the summer where I got rid of over 80 books, but then I got rid of like another 20 really shortly after that, and since being back over Christmas I've got rid of some more as well. I used to hate unhauling because I find a sentimental attachment to anything and everything if you give me an opportunity. Once I did it the first time I was like, oh, you know what, that wasn't too bad, and I just found myself picking more and more things off where I was like, yeah, it's going, it's gone. Definitely would recommend giving an unhaul a go if you're someone that hasn't but would like to. Like, just try, just pull them off your shelf and say, oh, I don't have to get rid of them. And I think, well, for me at least, once they were off the shelf and in a pile, I found it a lot easier to be like, you know what, they're just gonna go. I also had some non-bookish goals, so I'll quickly go over those now as well. So the first one that I set for myself was that I wanted to run a half marathon, and I had signed up for a half marathon at the time, but then it got cancelled because of COVID, so I did not end up doing the half marathon. I did run 10 miles, that was the furthest that I ran last year, and I did do like a lot of the training for it, so I'm not going to count it as a fail because I would have done it had it not been cancelled in March. I was like semi ready for it, and I think, you know, 10 miles and the fact that I carried on running all throughout the year is still an achievement in itself. Okay, the next personal goal was that I really wanted to do some writing, and I didn't do this at all, I don't think. I love writing. I've always wanted to be an author, but for some reason it is the one of my hobbies that I just never prioritise. The next thing that I said I wanted to do, sort of situation allowing, was to travel somewhere by myself. I love travel and I just really want to go on more solo trips. I didn't do this in 2021 mainly because of the situation. I didn't go abroad at all again last year. It just wasn't something that I got round to doing. I know some people went abroad during the summer, but I was just so busy with sorting my life out that I just didn't really think about it. And then we were meant to be going to Austria for the Christmas markets in December, but that got cancelled, so therefore didn't go anywhere by myself. Although I did do a lot more stuff independently last year. I went to the theatre pretty much predominantly by myself. I did do some theatre trips with friends, but a lot of the ones that I did were by myself. I also did a little bit of going to places in the UK by myself. I did a couple of trips to Manchester where I went by myself, and although I met up with friends in the evening, I like spent the daytime just wandering around, mooching by myself. So like I did a bit of it, and I do feel now I'm a lot more confident in going and doing things alone. Going to the theatre, for example, is something that before 2021 I had only ever done twice by myself, I think, and it was something that I still found quite scary and like a big thing, whereas now I wouldn't even think twice about it. So I think although I haven't been able to travel anywhere abroad by myself, I have taken a lot of steps to making it a lot less daunting for myself when I do eventually get around to doing it. Hopefully in 2022, but who knows at this point. And the final two goals that I set myself in 2021 were both craft related. So the first thing that I wanted to do was start an Etsy for my embroidery, and I didn't do this. It's something that I talked and talked and talked about but never got round to. It's still something that I would like to do, but I know realistically, is it gonna happen? Probably not, because I just don't have the time at the moment with everything else that I do to sort of commit to it. And embroidery, it takes me so long to do like one piece that I wouldn't have enough like stock. So I would like to explore ways that I could like sell the crafty things that I do and maybe like take commissions and stuff. But maybe that's something that I need to look at more like through my Instagram account, which I haven't updated in ages either. Yeah, it's still something that I need to think about. So no, I didn't get around to doing that in 2021, but I'm not too bothered about it. And the last craft thing that I wanted to do, and the last goal that I set myself for the year, was that I wanted to crochet a cardigan. A bit random, but I got a crochet kit and like my first crochet hooks for Christmas last year, and it was something that I really wanted to give a go to. And I did do this. I crocheted a jumper, so like, that counts, in like March sort of time. I think I finished it. And then I crocheted a cardigan, a patchwork cardigan that I've nearly finished. I started it in December. I very nearly finished it. By the time this video goes up, I may well have done. Let me tell you, crocheting 50 squares and sewing them all together takes a lot longer than I thought it would. So that was my reaction to all of my goals for 2021. I'm just now going to really quickly talk about my goals for 2022, but I am meant to be going out for a meal right now. I'll cut to future me now. I'm back. It is the next day. I look a state, and I am in my dressing gown because I can't even begin to explain how cold it is. I am freezing. Anyway, I wanted to finish off this video. There isn't actually that much left of it because I'm going to talk through my 2022 goals pretty quickly. I think I've more or less already hinted at the very few book related goals that I have for this year. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on my reading. I really enjoyed the reading that I did in 2021, and I just sort of want to continue on that trajectory without putting too much pressure on myself in terms of loads of specifics that I want to do. But I have set myself a few, and the first one is the reading number goal. I want to read 50 books again. Fingers crossed that I will. Obviously I had a lot more free time last year because of various lockdowns. I was also on like a part-time furlough for some of the year as well, and as I said, I really did notice the drop in my reading when I started my new job, when I went back to working full-time as well, and also when I started going out and doing other things. But hopefully I'll be able to meet this number, and I really would like to implement a few things into the ways that I read, which would actually help me achieve it. So I would really love to utilize my commutes when I'm back in the office again. At the moment, we've just been told that we're now going to be working from home until at least the end of January. But when I am in the office, I've been going in 3 times a week. The total amount of time I spend sitting on either the train or the tube is about 40 minutes each way. So I have about an hour and a half, 3 days a week, in which I could be reading. I haven't been doing that very often so far because I am tired at that time of day and tend to just sit and scroll. But I think if I make a really conscious effort, that's like 4.5 hours extra reading a week, which is like, I don't even know, I can't do the maths, but surely it would help. And I would also really like to get into audiobooks more. This is something that I go through phases of trying and then I sort of just forget about them. But in my free time when I'm in the flat, I do a lot of like crafty things. As I've said, I have like my embroidery, I have my crochet, I have a theatre journal that I've been keeping. And I can't read and do all of those things simultaneously, at least not reading with my eyes. But I think if I tried to listen to more audiobooks, then that's something that I could have on in the background while doing that, and then I would be like doing 2 of my hobbies at once. I'd also like to try and give running with an audiobook a go, but I'm not sure because I really hate running without music, and I just feel like I'd be able to hear myself breathing with an audiobook, and I'm absolutely not about that. But I guess I could give it a go, and then that would be really good if it did work, because I run about like an hour and a half, 2 hours a week. So again, that would be loads more reading that I could get done. Other than that, I would just like to continue reading diversely and continue to diversify the reading that I'm doing. I would like to continue using Storygraph, as I've said, because I want those statistics, which I think will help me be more mindful about reading diversely. My camera just ran out of memory, so I'm hoping we can make it to the end of this video without any more interruptions. I'm so sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place today. But anyway, moving on very quickly to the rest of my goals. I would really like to try and put out 50 videos this year. As I sort of hinted at before when we were talking about schedules, I don't think I'm going to set myself an upload schedule, but I would love to do 1 video a week. But I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway there with the 50. I may end up doing way more, I may end up doing less. Hopefully not less, hopefully more like more. But I feel like 50 is a good target to aim for. And alongside that, I'd also really like to expand the sort of stuff that I do on my channel. So I have been branching out a little bit and doing more theatre related content, as you may have seen, and I would love to do some more of that. Maybe some like theatre related vlogs and just other theatre things other than just talking about the shows that I've been to see recently. I'd also love to do some crafty things. I would love to do travel related videos if I actually get to travel anywhere this year. Another running related goal like I had last year, this year instead of having a specific distance that I'd like to run in one go, I've set myself a goal for the whole year, and I would love to have run 500 miles by the end of the year. This works out to about 40 miles a month. I'm not going to be like too strict on myself with this one, but I would like to get to the point where I can say that I enjoy running, because I've been doing it for over 2 years now and I honestly don't think I've reached that point yet. So maybe having like a set target for the year to keep me motivated all the way through the year in mind might help. And I only actually have 2 more goals. The first is a bit of a random one, but I would really like to discover more new music in 2022. The music that I listen to is so limited, honestly. It's basically Taylor Swift, Little Mix, Maisie Peters and musical theatre songs, with a little bit of people who I like to categorise as like the Taylor Swift genre in there. But aside from that, I don't really listen to that much music. I basically had this idea because I saw a TikTok of a girl who'd listened to a new album every single day for the year, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, it's too late now anyway, but I thought maybe like 1 a week, a couple a month. I would just love to expand my taste, so leave me some recommendations in the comments. And my final goal is again a bit random, but I want to do figure skating lessons in 2022, as in like ice skating. So this is something that I've always wanted to do. Ever since I was little, I wanted to take ice skating lessons, but we didn't really live near to an ice rink, so I never actually got to learn like I always wanted to. And I found somewhere in London that's actually pretty central, not too far from my office, not too inconvenient for where I live either, that do beginners, adults lessons, and I'm gonna do it. I've actually signed up to my first class, so this one will be achieved. But I really hope that I enjoy it, and I really hope that I can carry it on and do like regular classes, because I just think it would be so much fun and I would be fulfilling a little childhood dream of mine. But yeah, those were all the goals that I have for this year. I said that I didn't have very many, but I hope you enjoyed hearing about them anyway. If we have any similar goals, let me know in the comments, or just let me know what things you would love to achieve this year. Other than that though, that is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all keeping safe and staying well, and I will see you again next time. Bye!